So last night we went to a restaurant and we accidentally ended up with a lot of leftover grilled asparagus. So I thought what I'd do is I'd just make some grilled asparagus soup with it, okay? So what I've done is I've taken that asparagus and I've just rinsed it off to get off any dressing they might have had on it, and also any extra salt, okay? And we have some mirepoix here. This is our mise en place. This is everything that we need to make this soup, okay? First we have about half cup to 2/3 of a cup of chopped onion, okay? If you watch my videos, you know measurements are not set in stone, okay? Here we have about 1/4 cup to 1/3 of a cup of parsley. And then we have a couple of cloves, large cloves of garlic that have been chopped up. I would normally deglaze once we start cooking with white wine. I don't have any open and handy, so I'm going to use dry vermouth, which is a Julia Child trick. I also have some fresh thyme that I'm going to put in there. We're going to need chicken stock. Now normally I make my own chicken stock, but I don't have any thawed. I'm making this right now, so I'm using this unsalted chicken stock, okay? If you're going to buy chicken stock in the store and you want it to be stock, not broth, buy unsalted chicken stock, okay? Then we'll need some salt. I always use kosher salt or sea salt, and ground white pepper. Okay, that's our mise en place. Now we're going to cook. Well, my wife just pointed out to me that we do have in stock these small bottles of white wine, and these are perfect for cooking, okay? So I'm going to use the vermouth, like I said, but if you need white wine and you don't need much of it, and you also don't have any open, these are perfect for this application. Now we're going to take this asparagus and cut it into relatively small pieces, you know, about 1/2 inch long pieces. Okay, we're going to start with some olive oil. Actually, I didn't mention that in my mise en place, but it's in the notes that come with the video. How much? Enough to be able to sweat those onions and celery. And probably about, I'd say there's probably 2-3 tablespoons in there. We're going to put this on to medium heat and add the onions. And the celery. Mix them up. And then we're going to let those sweat. If you watch my videos, you know sweating means to basically to sweat out the moisture. So they'll start to steam, and once they become translucent and the steam starts to go away, they're ready for the next step. Okay, the onions and the celery are translucent, so they've been sweated nicely. Now we're going to add the garlic. Now garlic burns quick and easy, all right? So we're going to give that a little pan contact. We don't want to stir it too fast. And we're going to let that cook for about 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, now we're going to deglaze, and we're going to use the vermouth to do it. How much? Oh, about 1/4 of a cup or so, okay? We want to let that reduce until it is what I call just wet or almost dry. So there's still some moisture, not a lot. Okay, we are at the just wet, almost dry stage. We're going to add the asparagus. And I don't know if I said this before, but the asparagus was grilled. What we brought home from the restaurant was grilled. But the point is, I'm just using leftover asparagus. Now we're going to adding the chicken stock. How much chicken stock to cover the asparagus? Okay, then we're going to add the thyme that's been tied with some kitchen string. We're adding a little bit of salt, just a little bit of salt. Why? Because that asparagus was salted by the restaurant, and I don't want it to be too salty, so I just added just a tiny bit. We'll adjust the seasoning later. And just a little bit of ground white pepper. Why ground white pepper? because once we puree and strain the soup, if we were to use black pepper, we might have little black specks, okay? With the white pepper, we won't have that. But if you're using white pepper, don't use a lot. A little bit goes a long way. All right, so now what we're gonna do is let that come to a boil, and then we're gonna let it cook for about 10 minutes after it comes to a boil. I'm gonna add a little bit more stock because vegetables are not quite covered. Okay, there we go. Okay, our soup is coming to a boil. We're gonna reduce the heat to simmer, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Okay, the asparagus has cooked about 10 minutes. Why so short a time? Because the asparagus was already cooked. If the asparagus had started out raw, I would have let it cook longer until the asparagus was soft, fork tender. Now I've transferred it into the blender here, remove the thyme tied in the string, okay? And then we're gonna cover it up. I put the lid on, that is, and then put a towel over the top to avoid an explosion, okay? Then we're gonna turn it on and puree it. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, it looks beautiful. I don't see any chunks in there. Okay, now we're ready to strain it. All right, now we're going to strain the soup. And I rinsed out the pot that I cooked it in, have a strainer here, pour the soup into the strainer, try to get as much as I can out of the blender. And then we're going to use a rubber spatula or a wooden spoon to push it through the strainer. Sometimes the rubber spatula works better, sometimes wooden spoon works better. This time it seems like the rubber spatula is working really well. Okay, it's all the way through. Now what we're going to do is rinse off the spatula, and then we're going to take the soup that's on the bottom of the strainer off with this spatula. You'd be surprised at how much can be on the bottom. Okay, you can lose a whole serving that way, okay? All right, now let's taste it. I think that's good as it is. If you think it needs salt, now's the time to adjust. I don't think it needs any additional salt or pepper, so I'm not going to add any now. Now this soup, you can just plate it up and serve it as a soup, garnish it any way you want. You could chop some bacon on top, some sliced cherry tomatoes, something like that. I'm going to be using it for a slightly different application as an amuse-bouche, very small amount of it, chilled and garnished. So you can see photos of a dish using this soup at my Instagram, which is @Chef's Apprentice, Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.